and we should do this every year. No, you shouldn't. Very quickly, because I don't want to run out of time. Juan of the Dead, which was the recent hit from the Viva Film Festival, Spanish Latin American Film Festival, which is a Cuban zombie movie, I think the first, and proof that zombies can be anything that you want them to be. The great Romero, what was at one point the zombie trilogy, Night of the Living Dead, it's about racism. Dawn of the Dead, it's about consumerism. Day of the Dead, it's about vivisection. And then you get Shaun of the Dead, which is, in a way...
about Crouch End.
Yes, but in a way it's very clever, because it's the great British, modern sitcom, is that, when the going get tough, the Brits go to the pub. I mean, I've always thought the great underlying gag of Shaun of the Dead, which still makes me laugh, is that when the apocalypse comes, they go to the Winchester, they go to the pub. That's what they do. In the story of this, it is like all these things. It's funny and jolly, but it is also sort of socio-political. And the socio-political gags run all the way through. The story is that Juan is this sort of middle-aged wastrel. Suddenly, the area is struck by an outbreak of zombie action. The zombies are immediately described as dissidents, and on the radio are described as US-sponsored dissidents. Juan, realising that the country is being overrun by zombies, says, we need to do something. But not what he needs to do is he spies a business opportunity that actually what they can do is they can make a job clearing up after the zombies. And they form this company, Juan of the Dead. Juan of the Dead, we kill your loved ones. That's what they do, because it's a rom-com with this all these constant underlying socio-political jokes. Now, it's not brilliant, but the fact of the matter is it was a lot funnier and a lot more interesting than it could have been, partly because those particular political jokes are new to me, partly because it's directed with a certain amount of zing, and partly because there was sort of something knockabout, anarchically fun. It seemed to me to get the right tone between being, on the one hand, a horror movie, being, on the other hand, a sort of socio-political satire, and having quite... There's one absolutely lovely moment when Juan... Sorry, I kicked the table. Juan and his best friend are on a rooftop, and they're looking out over the skyline, and and everywhere is overrun by zombies, and the news channel is going, everything's fine, you can all go back to work, there's no problem, the US-sponsored dissidents have been completely overrun, and they're looking at the sunset. And Juan says, it's a lovely view, isn't it? And his friend says, yes, it's just a shame that building is blocking out the sunset, at which point there's a massive explosion, and the whole skyline collapses. That's the level of the socio-political humour, and actually it worked rather well, and does demonstrate once again that you can, I know there's been loads of articles written about this, but you can do zombie movies as many ways as you want.
Can they run, these zombies?
They don't really, but there's one very funny joke in which the guy is he says, now why is it that some of them are slower, some of them are fast? Actually, I'm not going to tell you the joke because I'll just spoil it. Can I take this just a tiny minute to say we missed this last week? There's a British movie called Outside Bet, the plot of which has been developed from the novel The Mumper by Mark Baxter and Paolo Hewitt, set against the backdrop of the turbulent mid-'80s. Bob Hoskins, Phil Davis, who I absolutely love, Jenny Agutter, Adam Dean, Dudley Sutton. Coming-of-age story. The young lad joins the print trade. His dad's life is coming to the dad is coming to the end of his career. They all get together. They buy a racehorse together because it's sort of to do with fulfilling that dream. I've read some fairly sniffy reviews of it. Can I just say that I was really rather charmed by it? Somebody behind me in the screening was huffing and puffing. It's a film which owes a lot to Quadrophenia. It's got Dexys and the Style Council on the soundtrack.
Oh, well, there you go. As soon as the Dexys song comes on, you're falling for it.
That may be true.
Yes, it is.
But
true.
Actually, I love Phil. I was really rather charmed by it. I thought it was, and there was one lovely speech in it in which somebody's talking about why they loved somebody so much. And they say, he never laid a finger on me, he never let a friend down, he never crossed a picket line, he told his wife he loved her every day. And I welled up.
Oh, dear.
And so, but there doesn't seem to have been as much coverage as there should have been for it, and I rather liked it. It's called Outside Bet. It's not, if you get a chance to see it, I thought it was really rather charming in a sort of post-Quadrophenia kind of